when comparison is torturing you. But man, I can't stop obsessing over how much more attractive other people are, or how I wish I were taller, or didn't have a Lyme disease, or wishing that my parents didn't get divorced, or my family life was better. Comparing yourself to other people is unavoidable. It is human nature to look around and see what everyone else is doing and how you measure it. How you measure it. The problem isn't the tendency to compare. The problem is what you are doing with the comparison that matters. What you are doing with comparison that matters. So ask yourself, what are you doing when you compare? Are you torturing yourself, or is it teaching you something important? The fact is that there are two different types of comparison that people engage in. Two different types of comparison that people engage in. Torture or teacher. In order to use comparison to your advantage, you must first identify which type of comparison you are doing. And it's very easy to tell the difference. The first type of comparison is torture. This is when you find yourself obsessed over, caught up in, or beating yourself up over something that you will never be able to change. Beating yourself up over something that you will never be able to change. Comparison feels like a torture when you are focused on fixed attributes of someone else's life. The comparison. The first type of 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 comparison is torture. This is when you find yourself obsessed over, caught up in, or beating yourself up over something that you will never be able to change. Comparison feels like a torture when you are focused on fixed attributes of someone else's life. Comparison feels like a torture when you are focused on fixed attributes of someone else's life. For example, someone else's natural beauty, body type, the first time. This is when you find yourself yourself obsessed over, caught up in, or beating yourself up over something that you will never be able to change. This is when you find yourself obsessed over, caught up in, or beating yourself up over something that you will never be able to change. Comparison feels like a torture when you are focused on fixed attributes of someone else's life. For example, someone else's life, natural beauty, body type, family history, height, metabolism, parents, country of origin, past experiences, and any God-given talents like athleticism, perfect pitch, genius brain power, ability to learn languages at the blink of an eye, photographic memory, artistic talents. You get the gist. You get the gist. You get the gist. You may be envious of these fixed characteristics of someone else's life. You may be envious of these fixed characteristics of someone else's life, but these are the types of things people were usually born with, and not something they worked hard to achieve. They were dealt these cards, and their cards are not going anywhere. Neither are yours. And more importantly, no amounts of effort on your part will make these cards magically appear in your life. Here's how you know it's fixed. How you know it's fixed. Here's how you know it's fixed. Is there anything you can do in the next 30 seconds to change this? If not, you will never going to be able to change these things. Is there anything you can do? Is there anything you can do in the next 30 seconds to change this? Is there anything you can do in the next 30 seconds to change it? You are never going to be able to change these things. You are never going to change these things. It's critical that you understand the difference between things you can and cannot change. Because comparing yourself to someone or some aspect of their life that you cannot change, no matter how much you try, is just torturing you. It's critical that you understand. It's critical that you understand the difference between things you can and cannot change. Because comparing yourself to someone or some aspect of their life, then you cannot change. No matter how much you try, it's just torturing you. It's critical that you understand the difference between things you can and cannot change. Because comparing yourself to someone or some aspect of your life, then you cannot change. No matter how much you try, it's just torturing you. Therefore, anytime you spend obsessing over a fixed aspect of someone else's life versus your own is an act of self-torture. Obsessing over a fixed aspect of someone else's life, it is useless for your growth and detrimental to your happiness. Detrimental. Detrimental. Detrimental is an adjective that describes something that causes harm, damage, or negative effect. detrimental to your happiness. If you can change it, you must learn to allow it. Let them. This is not easy to do. I have watched our oldest daughter, Sawyer, engage in this first type of comparison and torture herself for years. She is hyper fixated on her younger sister, Kendall. Fixated on her younger sister, Kendall, who has a completely different body type, bone structure, metabolism, and athletic abilities. To top it off, Kendall was born with an amazing singing voice and perfect pitch. Sawyer cannot change this. Sawyer cannot change this. Kendall cannot change it. This. She is hyper fixated. Fixated, hyperfixated on her younger sister Kendall, who has a completely different body shape, bone structure, metabolism, and athletic abilities. To top it off, Kendall was born with an amazing singing voice and perfect pitch. Sawyer cannot change this. Kendall cannot change this. And I can change this. But over the years, I have watched Sawyer make herself miserable and give so much of her power away by engaging in torturous comparison. As a result, he hates her body, he beats herself up about her metabolism. She complains how hard it is to lose weight and how easy it is to put it on. She's made it clear how unfair it is that Kendall can fit into her clothes, but she can't fit into Kendall's. And you know that she's right, it's not fair, and no amount of exercise, no supplements, or singing lessons will ever even the score that Sawyer is keeping in her mind. Kendall is winning and Sawyer is losing. This is what psychologists call upward comparison. Upward comparison is this tendency to measure yourself against the people and their attributes that you think are better than yours. Upward comparison is this tendency to measure yourself against the people and their attributes that you think are better than yours. Research shows it destroys your self-esteem. You rarely engage in downward comparison, which is looking around and seeing how much better off you are than the majority of people in the world. According to the UN, 1 in 4 people do not have access to clean drinking water. The truth is, if you have running water, electricity, and the time to read this book, you are doing better than most. That brings me back to this type of torturous comparison and beating yourself up over an aspect of your life that you cannot control or change. I have watched this with so much sadness in my heart at how miserable Sawyer makes herself. And I can save her. I can stop her from engaging in this kind of comparison. And no amount of complimenting and reassurance is going to change her behavior. She must choose to change this for herself. Because until she stops torturing herself, she will never see the big, beautiful, amazing life that is right there waiting for her to embrace it. She will never embrace the beauty of her own body, and she will always see what she is not, instead of a magnificence of what she is. While she is focused on her sister, she is not seeing what the rest of us see, which is her unique talents, brains, and athleticism. You must stop obsessing over the cards in someone else's hands. Life isn't fair. Someone will always seem to have better cards than you, and comparing your hand to theirs will always make you lose. Stop focusing on the other players. That's not how you win the game of life. Learn to play with other players, not against them. The sad fact is, I have seen too many people develop a eating disorder or mental health problems or struggle with addiction or shame because of the torturous nature of this type of comparison. And I don't say this lightly because I know it can lead to very serious struggles and challenges that many people face, including people I love deeply. Psychologists will tell you that the root cause of many disorders is an obsessive need for control. As you are learning in this book, anytime you try to control something that you can't, and you try something that you can't, it just makes you feel more out of control and powerless. That's why it's imperative for you to recognize when you are engaging in this first type of comparison. Stop, let them live their life. Let me focus on mine. You are too smart to waste your life torturing yourself. Hold on to your power because you are going to need it to unlock the potential of your own unique life. What I've found is that being happier requires you to allow yourself to be happier. It is impossible to enjoy your life or love yourself and beat yourself up at any time. So let's move on to the second type of comparison. This type of comparison is the gold mine for you. Second type of comparison.